Brothers and sisters, hear me. My eyes have pierced the veil, not in dreams, not in fleeting visions, but in the waking world itself. I have seen what waits beyond, and it is not silence, it is a roar. The Lord declared, I will make darkness light before them and crooked things straight. But I ask you, what if the crooked things rise up, and what if the light itself burns cold? Know this, the veil is no wall. It is a door, and doors are not lifeless. They breathe, they beckon, they resist. Some doors must remain sealed, but others demand to be broken open with holy fury, with the hammer of faith and the fire of conviction. We are not the timid, we are not the hidden. We are the watchers, the wanderers, the chosen who pray not for comfort, not for safety, but for strength to shatter the chains that bind this land, to rend the veil, to drive the shadows back into the pit. I have traveled west from the mountains of West Virginia, carrying the fire of the word, the steel of the gun, and the burden of the cross. I march not alone, but with the thunder of the heaven at my back, with the cry of the saints in my ears, with the covenant burning in my veins. So I call upon you now. Rise with me. Rise like storm clouds over the valley. Take up your cross, your gun, and the word, and let your voice thunder against the silence until the silence breaks. For the veil is thinner than you believe, and it trembles at our coming. When it shatters, the world will know. We are the fire that does not die, the storm that does not fade, the chosen who will not be denied.
On December 3, 1959, Elias Crow sat down with Raymond Callahan, a reporter from the Tucson Daily Star, and opened a window into a vanished world. In his own words, he relives the shadowed days of the Brimstone disaster of 1883 and the heroic efforts of the Hale Gang. His eyewitness testimony remains as one of the rare records of the amazing events of that period. This is his story.
So, you want to know about Brimstone and Hale Gang, son? Well, I suppose I'm the last one left that can tell it straight. My name's Elias Crow. It happened over 70 years ago, and I still remember those days like they were yesterday. I had seen the mines swallow men up whole, had heard the whispers of things crawling in the dark. It was Arizona territory, 1885. At that time, I was just a boy of 12, scrawny and wide-eyed, when the world was still reeling from the Brimstone disaster of '83. At first, folks thought the explosion had only swallowed men and spat out fire. But what came crawling out of those portals, well, it changed everything. Monsters, shadows, things that had no right walking under God's sun. And in the middle of it all, there was the Hale Gang. The Hale Gang didn't chase gold or whiskey. They chased evil, a wickedness that seeped out of those cursed rocks, and iniquity that twisted many men's hearts. I saw them ride into town more than once, dust rising behind their horses, eyes sharp as knives. They carried themselves like legends. But legends don't always end the way the dime novels tell it. You ask me how I can remember it all so clearly, because I was there. I saw the fire, the blood, and the way the desert itself seemed to scream. It was the beginning of a legend, one that still haunts the canyons to this day, when the wind howls just right. I'll never forget the night that the three of them met. It was February 1st, 1885. I was one among many at the train station that night, my lantern guttering in the chill wind that swept through Stone's Crossing. The train arrived as twilight fell, its iron wheels scattering sparks across the rails. From the final car descended Sister Juniper Hale, her habit trailing dust, her eyes steady with conviction. She carried her Bible pressed to her chest, its pages marked by soot and prayer. At that moment, I could feel the air itself had changed. Destiny had arrived, though none of us yet understood its weight. The town was weary. Hollow-eyed townsfolk spoke in quiet whispers of creatures up in the rocks and down in the mine shafts. The streets usually lay empty after dark, save for the occasional stray dog, sniffing at the dust, though searching for scraps of courage left behind. Even the wind seemed to carry a warning, hissing through the broken fences and rattling iron gates of the graveyard. The town itself felt like a body on the verge of collapse, its heartbeat slowed, its breath shallow, waiting for something unseen to finally step out of the dark. But that evening, the lanterns flickered outside the rail station. Sister Hale delivered her sermon. The sermon she gave was no ordinary preaching. Her words struck like a hammer on hot iron, ringing through the rafters of the station. I watched the townsfolk, men hardened by dust, women worn thin by hunger, lift their heads as if they remembered that they still had spines. She spoke of light in the darkness, of courage rising when the world itself seemed to crack, and the faith that could bind wounds deeper than flesh. Her words rang like a bell through the rafters, stirring hearts long silenced. When the crowd finally dispersed, two figures lingered near the platform. The first to come forward was Silas Barrow, a gunslinger with revolvers worn smooth by countless duels. He was a weathered old cuss, carved from the same grit as the land he rode, face like sun-cracked leather, lined deep from years of dust and wind. His eyes, dark as mesquite charcoal, held the kind of stare that made greenhorns forget their own names. A bramble of gray and rust-colored whiskers clung to his jaw, and his hair, long and unkempt, spilled from beneath a battered Stetson that had seen more gunfights than sermons. His right hand, thick and veined like old tree roots, gripped a long-barreled Colt with the ease of a man who'd settled more scores than debts. He didn't speak much, but when he did, it was slow, deliberate, and final. Then there was Hana Okabe, a wandering samurai exiled from her homeland of Japan. Hana stood near 5'7". Her frame was lean and honed like a blade, with the poise of someone who's faced death and didn't blink. Her skin bore the warm tone of sun-hardened travels, smooth yet marked by faint scars that spoke of survival, not vanity. Her eyes, dark, almond-shaped, and unwavering, carried the weight of old battles and unspoken vows. When she fixed her gaze, it was like being sized up by a hawk perched on a high bluff. Her hair was jet black, pulled into a high ponytail bound by a crimson ribbon that fluttered like a warning flag in the wind. A few strands fell loose, framing her face with a wild kind of grace. Silas spoke first, his voice rough as gravel, saying, "Preacher woman, you talk about courage. This town's gonna need more than words. The mines are crawling with things that don't belong in God's world." Then Hannah stepped forward, her presence quiet but undeniable. She said, I have seen darkness take many forms. If you mean to stand against it, I will stand with you. Sister Hale looked at both, a weary gunslinger and a wandering samurai, and felt destiny settle upon her shoulders. Alone, she was a voice. Together, they could be a shield. She smiled and said, "Your arrival in this town was not by chance, my friends. We have been drawn together by destiny. Together, we will make the land safe again." And so, on the platform of Stone's Crossing rail station, the three clasped hands, and the Hale Gang was born, forged not of chance, but of destiny, bound by faith, steel, and the promise of redemption.
Hello friends, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club with a channel update and the announcement of Season 6 of my ongoing series, Alone in the Shadows of Brimstone. For the sake of new viewers to the channel, Alone in the Shadows of Brimstone is a sandbox-style campaign system that I developed primarily for solitaire play. For those that are interested, I will provide a link where you can download the files to play this system in the description below. Surprisingly, it's been almost a year and a half since I've covered the game on my channel. What I'm planning on is to record several episodes in a row and then post those to the channel, and then I would add in other content, and then we would return to the campaign. So that's kind of what I have planned for the moment. Some of the other content that I'm planning on is to record another episode of my series on the Napoleonic Wars. And I've entitled that, "If you want to know what it was like to be Napoleon, play this game." And that would be part 2 coming up, and we'll delve into the political and monetary aspects of that series. Another title that I'm interested in would be to do a playthrough of Black Orchestra with the new elements from the Resistance expansion, which I just covered on the channel. I think that might be fun to see how those elements play out in a game. Another idea I'm kicking around is, since we're getting near the holiday season, would be to do a playthrough of A Touch of Evil against Krampus. I've never played against Krampus, and that might be something interesting to bring to the channel. Now this video is going to serve as an introduction to the coming season of Alone in the Shadows of Brimstone. In addition, I'm going to go over some small additions that I've made to the system a bit later in the video. As is my tradition on the channel, I've randomly selected the posse members using my character creation system. And this one ended up as one of the strangest combinations yet. So we'll have to see how this plays out. I'm going to be opening up the comments section for this video, so please post any questions or thoughts about the coming season of Alone in the Shadows of Brimstone. Also, if you have any suggestions on how the campaign system could be improved, please let me know. All right, we'll look at the new additions that I have for the system. They're very small and minor. This is going to be version 2.48, dated November 8th, 2025. These have not been posted yet, so the links that I'm going to be providing in the description will just get you the existing files. And also, I should mention that if you're new to the system, the way I've downloaded this to BGG is it's been done incrementally. So there are some files that you'll need that I haven't reposted. So you would need to go to the bottom of the list, download those in addition to the latest rule set and player aids. Now these are some of the additions that I've made to the system. They're very small, but it's just stuff that was kicking around in the back of my mind and I've decided to add to the system. The first one is 12.15 banks. A bank is located in the hotel of each large town. So not every town will have one, but the large towns will. Each hero may make a deposit or withdrawal during their town stay. If the hero is staying at the hotel, they may perform any bank transactions before the hero performs any of his town visits. If they're staying at the camp, the hero must spend their town visit at the hotel to conduct a bank transaction. This is intended to assist players in storing cash toward achieving their campaign goal. Deposits are safe from loss. Next, I've kind of made a major decision regarding items, and 12.16, selling items. Items may only be sold for half their printed value. I think that this is probably a good rule. It's going to definitely be reducing our access to cash, but I just think it's a good idea. To be able to get something for 400 and sell it for 400, it's not realistic. I would think that you'd be lucky to get 50% of the value. So that's why I've included this new rule. Also another one, 12.17, advanced encounters. When a map card indicates that an advanced encounter is present, we're going to roll a die. On a 1 to 3, we will add the indicated encounter, and on a 4 to 6, the encounter will not be added. And that's to kind of offset that selling items at half price. So I think that's going to help a little bit in balancing the game. Finally, I've come up with 12.18 legendary locations. Now this is proposed. What I'm proposing is adding 5 tokens to the rumor cup. They're going to be marked with a question mark. Tokens will be placed in random locations that do not already contain a token. These locations are said to contain clues, pictographs, stelae, or other signs left by a civilization from the past that provide valuable information about legendary places in the region. If the posse travels to the location, they may roll a die on the table below. And the roll is going to be a simple D6. There's 2 chances that the party is going to take damage with nothing to show for it, 2 chances where they'll just find nothing, and then we have some other chances at the bottom of the table. One of them is a random player can make a luck 5+ test. If they pass, they find evidence that will narrow the search. They can re-roll, but this time with a +1 modifier. Then, if they can roll a 6, they found something and they can keep the token for future use. The token would signify ancient knowledge, and it can be exchanged at any time for either 2 rumor token draws or an extra revive token, representing advanced knowledge of a location. Finally, we have 7, so if you get the die roll modifier, you could roll a 7, and you find an ancient cache of gold and precious stones. The posse gains D6 times $200. So there's that reward and risk involved in there. And this is just something I'm kicking around for the time being. I don't know if I'm going to add it in or not, but it seems like it might be something nice to add a little variety to the rumor cup. And I've picked up a set of dry erase markers and a whiteboard. And what I'm going to do is use this during the game for notes, especially during combat situations when we're resolving combat. I have a hunch that with the characters that I have, there's going to be a lot of dice roll modifiers that are going to be involved in the combats. So to aid me in not forgetting some of these rules, I'm going to use this dry erase marker board, and I'll refer to that when we make our roll for holding back the darkness and at the end of the turn, and maybe that will help me from making too many oversights. Now I still have some prep work to finish before I can start filming the series. So I'm not sure when the series will launch, and it's likely that there's going to be a short gap with no additional content on the channel until I've completed the work. As I've never played the nun or samurai classes, I'm going to study those rules very carefully so I can understand all of the nuances. I'm going to attempt to take extra care to minimize any blunders during the playthrough, but as many of you know, this game has a lot of moving parts, and it's a challenge to remember all of the nuances of the game all the time, especially when you're playing solitaire. You have no one to check you. Before I close the video out, I'd like to thank everyone that responded to some polls that I posted in my community section at the channel. This was a great help in determining the future content that I'll be presenting. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this look at the coming season of Alone in the Shadows of Brimstone, and I look forward to seeing you for our pilot episode soon. Thanks to everyone for watching, and happy gaming, everyone. Good night.